ago talked about how the lobbyist or someone had commented to him that it would be unfair for those with the DACA recipients to not be able to get a driver's license here in Nebraska, but yet drive a Humvee in Afghanistan. Well, members, I would refer you to actually how the law reads. And the law states very clearly that those individuals that are DACA recipients are not eligible to serve in the military. Absolutely, just as simple as that. So the fact remains that these individuals are not eligible to go drive a Humvee in Afghanistan. They're not eligible to be in the military at all. So we need to be very careful here to make sure that we are making a clear distinction of just what these individuals are allowed to do and what they are not allowed to do. I think that's an important distinction. You know, I also mentioned on my first time on the microphone, if you go to the U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services website, which is where we pulled this information off of, and go to the Frequently Asked Questions section, there's a whole litany of questions that have to do with DACA and deferred status and the do's and don'ts, the rules of the road. Some very interesting information, very readily available. I'd encourage all of you to look at, because I think it's important to the discussion that we find ourselves in today. And the first question under what is deferred action, it very simply says, deferred action does not confer lawful status upon an individual. Again, deferred action does not confer lawful status upon an individual. If you go forward to question number 5, if my case is deferred, am I in lawful status for the period of deferral? The answer, no. Although action in your case has been deferred and you do not accrue unlawful presence during the period of deferred action does not confer any lawful status. I said earlier on my first time on the microphone, this bill could advance. It very well may. But in my view, from looking at the circuit, their district court, I should say, case in which this issue was thrown out on grounds that states have every right to determine how we look at this issue, from that fact, case in fact, to the fact, and I will maintain that Senator Norquist and I apparently have disagreement about this, and I would challenge him to show me the statutes. I maintain we are the only state in the union that has hardwired the Real ID Act into our state statutes, which says very simply, you cannot give identification unless you have lawful status. These individuals do not have lawful status. They have lawful presence. And Senator Norquist said there's other states that use the word lawful status, lawful presence interchangeably. Big difference, members. They don't have the Real ID Act in their state statutes. This bill does not change that. It nibbles around the edges. It does not change that fact. Nor does Senator Norquist's amendment that's forthcoming. So I would argue, members, if this bill advances, these individuals are still not going to receive driver's license from the Department of Motor Vehicles. I've yet to hear any of the proponents of this bill say they've talked to the Department of Motor Vehicles, and if this legislation advances, these individuals are going to get driver's licenses. The answer for that is because they're not. Because our statutes are very different from any other state. And this legislation, LB 623, doesn't change the necessary statutes in order to enable these individuals to receive a driver's license, whether it advances or not. Thank you, Mr. President.